Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today, bringing you another Q&A segment. As I said before, I'm going to be doing these every 2 weeks, and for your benefit, I'm going to be making these Q&As 20 to 30 minutes as opposed to 10 to 15 minutes. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video, as I will not be answering any political questions. So if you ask one, I will obviously ignore it. So the first question comes in from Mike from Laughingstock Media. He wants to know, do you support building a wall around the newest episode of Chapter Chat? Will Togashi be paying for this wall? He's making like an inside joke about a political question, but no, I'm not going to support building a wall around the newest episode of Chapter Chat. And maybe you should be asking yourself, Mike, because you need to upload that one. Jordan wants to know, why do you look so jacked in that new profile picture? Well, you know, I do go to the gym here, Jordan. It's not like I'm as skinny as I used to be when I was in high school. Dimsy wants to know, what's the diameter of your afro? I don't actually have an afro. I just think that an afro, you know, kind of represents, I guess you can say, more of a black Saiyan feel, I guess. Because, like, I mean, if you had a black Saiyan, I mean, you know, we don't really have like spiky hair as black people, so it'd probably be an afro if we, you know, transformed as a black Saiyan, I guess. It's just my interpretation. Majin So wants to know, if chopsticks fell in the woods and no one was around to hear them, do they still kick Piccolo's ass? Very funny, Majin So. IC wants to know, can Pokemon have a crossover with Dragon Ball Z? No, this is a really cool picture. But you know what, I'll say this much, if Pokemon did have a crossover with Dragon Ball, that would be extremely interesting. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if you think about it, like, Dragon Ball is one of those shows that can fit in like another, you know, media easily. Like, it fit in The Grim Adventures of Billy and Manny, it fit in to Codename Kids Next Door, you know, Powerpuff Girls. Like, all of these shows can easily incorporate Dragon Ball. So if they did have it, I think it would be really cool. Alright, look at this. This is like Krillin, this is what, Goku, that's Vegeta, and what is that, Piccolo is Metapod. Alright, Black and Fist Fabo wants to know, rank the arcs of the Dragon Ball portion of the series. Alright, so, okay, yeah, obviously Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are a part of the same series if you go with the original manga, but if you want me to separate them, Dragon Ball is kind of weird because, like, there's certain arcs that are, like, split in between arcs, but I guess I would probably say the number one arc to me would be the King Piccolo arc. The second best arc would probably be the Piccolo Jr. arc. I'm not being biased here, I just think that that was the best storytelling, because those arcs are when the show became a lot more serious, and, you know, you kind of felt more of a serious supervillain, you know, really causing havoc. That I'd probably put, you know, the Hunt for the Dragon Balls arc, you know, along with the first tournament, as the third. And then I'd probably put the Red Ribbon Army arc slash Fortune Teller Baba slash, you know, the 22nd tournament probably as the third. Like I said, guys, it's kind of hard to differentiate the sagas versus the tournaments because they're kind of they're kind of intertwined, but they're also different. But that's how I would probably rank the big four of Dragon Ball. Alright, Ivan wants to know, which movie villain would you have liked to see as a canon villain? Which main villain would it have replaced? I think if I had to pick a movie villain that would probably, you know, be the best, man, that's a really good question. I'm cut between two. I'm probably thinking between Cooler, and I'm thinking between Jamemba. The reason why Jamemba, I feel like he's a really cool concept of a villain, like when Goku went back to the afterlife, even though he kind of doesn't make sense in terms of the whole, like, timeline plot. Jamemba is a very cool villain because we never really saw a villain like him, so I would probably pick Jamemba for the cool portion. But Cooler, in my opinion, he would probably be my pick, you know, for an actual canon villain. Yes, I know that he is kind of like another Frieza, you know, knockoff, but the thing with Frieza here is that I feel, I'm sorry, the thing with Cooler here, I'm saying Frieza, the thing with Cooler is that he can kind of make sense in terms of the whole timeline plot. Yeah, there's some inconsistencies, like Kid Gohan having a tail, and, you know, Goku not knowing how to go Super Saiyan instantly, whereas, you know, if this, saga took place, it would obviously only take place after Trunks showed up to warn them, and in the 3-year gap before the androids. And, so even though it doesn't make complete sense, I just feel like having, Cooler as a villain would be really interesting, because he can add elements of trying to revenge, King Cole and Frieza in ways that, we wouldn't have seen elsewhere on the show. So those probably would have been the 2 movie villains that I would have picked for canon. I'm curious to see what you guys would pick in the comment section below. That might be my future question. I'm not sure. Alright, Sabo Lucario owned says, what minor background characters would you like to see get more screen time besides Gohan and Piccolo? Okay, well, obviously, Piccolo's my favorite character. Gohan's probably my third. I'd probably say at this point, man, Vegeta's probably my second, so I'm not going to count him, and he's not a side character. I would probably have to say Tien. Tien, in my opinion, is one of the more interesting Dragon Ball characters. He was kind of, one of Goku's early antagonists. Goku obviously, I guess you could say he was an antagonist, but like Goku had, rivals before. He was a rival with Yamcha. To some degree, he had a friendly rivalry with Krillin. But like, Tien was kind of like that first Vegeta Piccolo type of villain to Goku. And I think he has a lot of cool techniques. I think he has a really cool story, with the Crane Hermit and Chaozu. So really, in all honesty, man, I'd probably pick Tien. I think Tien would probably be my pick of, the background character I would like to see get the most screen time. Alright, who's stronger, Zamasu or Whis? I'm not sure if you're counting... Are you talking about, like, Zamasu after becoming merged Zamasu after fusing with Goku Black? Man... Alright, I was talking to Geekdom about this. This is a very tough question. The thing is that Toriyama made this statement a long time ago about the whole 6, 10, 15 argument of like Goku, Beerus and Whis. That's thrown out of the window now because Goku's gotten so much stronger since Toriyama even made that statement. It really doesn't make sense. And what I've always said before is that based off of how, I guess you could say, Beerus was kind of watching the fight in Resurrection F so like casually, that kind of implied to me that Beerus is still a lot stronger than you would think. And obviously you could also take the same thing for the Universe 6 arc. So in my opinion, Beerus is a lot stronger than you would probably guess, and Whis is a lot stronger than Beerus. So I would probably say that if Beerus is alive and Whis can have his angel powers, I would think Whis has to be at least significantly stronger than probably Zamasu, even possibly merged. And the reason why I'm saying this is I know I might sound crazy for saying this, but think about it. Whis knocked out Beerus that easily, and Beerus is a lot stronger than we probably expect, so you gotta think we haven't seen the true realms of Whis' power. Whis knocked out Beerus so effortlessly. You gotta think that if Whis can show all of his true, genuine powers, that he would probably still be stronger than, obviously Zamasu. But that's my opinion, and, the contradiction you can have to that is, well, apparently, Zamasu in the future was killing all the gods effortlessly, so obviously nobody was able to stop him, so maybe you might have a point there. So maybe I might have to go with Zamasu. I'm thinking Whis only because of the fact that, he really hasn't shown all of his power, but you know what? Zamasu, you gotta think at this point, he's probably up there if 2 Super Saiyan Blues have to fuse to fight him. Alright. Kevin Kodo wants to know, how long do you think it will be before the arc ends? Do you think Vegito can lose the fight? I think the arc is probably going to go like maybe 5 to 10 more episodes. Some spoilers are hinting at it. I do think Vegito can possibly lose because you got to remember, Zamasu, from what we hear, is immortal and super strong at the same time. So, how do you defeat a guy who's immortal? Like, that's what I've been trying to say. Like, how do you defeat a guy who's immortal? Like, it's not like your attacks can defeat him, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how I look at it. Alright, so Jacob Larson's responding to him. Rakurai Network wants to say that Super Saiyan Blue Vegito is more than likely stronger than Beerus, but I'm kind of hoping that Beerus is still stronger. Thoughts? Yeah, but like I said, this whole Beerus being stronger than Goku and Vegeta, I know the power skill is like kind of off, but like, how much stronger is Beerus gonna be than these guys? I mean, if Beerus... I mean, you gotta think here, guys. Like, let's be honest. If Beerus used half his power against Super Saiyan God Goku in Battle of Gods, you gotta think at this point with Super Saiyan Blue and, you know, all these multipliers that the manga was implying, you gotta think that Goku at this point would have surpassed him. I mean, even if you count Kaioken Super Saiyan Blue, even if that's for a limited time, I mean, my goodness, how much stronger was Beerus the whole time? I mean, it's like they're trying to postpone this whole Beerus power thing, and honestly, bro, like, I don't get it. I don't think it's something we should lose sleep over, bro, but I just honestly think it's kind of becoming kind of silly, honestly. I'm just telling you the truth, man. I'm not complaining about this. I'm just saying I think it's just kind of silly. Alright, Albert Carres wants to know, are you hyped for the Invader Zim movie coming? I didn't know about the Invader Zim movie coming, but I definitely will check that out. Who knows, I might even review it. Albert Carres wants to know, can Zamasu kill everybody in the world with chopsticks? Very funny. Alright, Tidelic? I guess that's a Tidelic, I guess. What if the Dragon Ball movies are thrown away sagas for the anime? That wouldn't make any sense because of the whole, like, timeline plot. It really honestly doesn't. It can make sense in Xenoverse, but it can't make any sense in the actual canon. George X21 wants to know, can you name your top 5 design characters from Dragon Ball, the entire Dragon Ball series? This is a very interesting question. I would say Super Saiyan 4 Goku would probably be number 1. I'd probably say Broly. I know this sounds weird. He'd probably be number 2. I mean, you gotta think, I know Broly's design was based off of, you know, Future Trunks' design when he went into his Ultra Super Saiyan form, but Broly does have a very unique, you know, design. He kind of like combines like Greek clothing, but like being like this super hulking monster Saiyan. I mean, he does have a cool design. I'd also say Jamemba is definitely up there too, so that's 3. I'd say Perfect Cell would probably be 4. And for my 5th design, man, I'd probably say Future Trunks. The reason why I'm saying this is because I feel like Future Trunks is an original looking character, you know. Goten is pretty much just a Goku knockoff. You know, Gohan, in my opinion, you know, he looks extremely similar to Goku too. I mean, if Gohan had Goku's hairstyle, he would look the exact same that Goku does. And if you actually look at the actual designs, Gohan looks extremely similar to Goku. It's just the eyes, I'm sorry, no, it's just that the hair is different. But like, I think the thing with Future Trunks is that like, he's like a complete mix between Bulma and Vegeta, and that's why I think he has a cool design. He has like Bulma's, you know, like, you know, lightish purple, blue hair, whatever, you know, one you want to go with, the purple hair or the blue hair. He has Bulma's hair, but, and, you know, like, I guess you could say her features with, like, Vegeta's face, you know? So I think that he's a very cool, original looking character. So yeah, those would be my favorite design characters. And yeah, Super Saiyan 4 Goku would be my favorite design. Alright, I'll take 2 more here. You catch that Raging Blast shout-out in Xenoverse 2. I thought it was pretty dope. Yes, I did actually notice that in the character selection. Josh pointed that out to me. Eddie L. Camilo, do you think Piccolo will train with Zen-chan so he can suppress his fear of chopsticks? Come on, bro. Whose absorbing technique is better? In other words, more beneficial, Boo or Cells? I'm gonna actually, you know, take this as the last one because the chopstick question, I think that's a filler question here. Alright, I think if you were to combine Boo or Cell, I would probably have to say, man, I mean, Cell's technique, he pretty much just like liquefies people when he absorbs them, when you're talking about like the civilians. And for the androids, when he like absorbs them, they become like a part of him, so they're kind of like stuck in his body somehow. But the thing is though, with Majin Buu, it's like when he absorbs them, they're like a permanently ingrained part of his body, you know. And the cool thing about it is that Boo completely like gains all of their attack knowledge. He kind of gains also a bit of their personality too, which is something that, you know, obviously Cell's absorption couldn't do. So in reality, I'm gonna have to go with Boo. I think Boo's absorption technique is better than Cell's, because you remember how much more intelligent he got, you know, once he absorbed Piccolo and Gohan. So yeah, those would be my picks there. Alright, now on to Ask FM. Alrighty guys, we are back to Ask FM. So the first question comes from this anonymous person. Could Yamcha be killed from being shot? No, I don't think Yamcha can be killed from being shot, because you gotta think, I mean, at this point in Dragon Ball, you gotta think, even if Yamcha's power has declined, Yamcha still has to be stronger than a normal human. You know, I mean, he has to be stronger than what he was in Dragon Ball, and in Dragon Ball, bullets don't hurt Kid Goku, bullets don't hurt Master Roshi at least that much. You know, they don't really have an effect on the characters ever since Dragon Ball, so you gotta think that Yamcha can't be killed from a bullet. Now, can he be killed from like an energy, like bullet? Like, I guess you could say, like, you know, in Resurrection F, like what happened in Goku. Yeah, I would say, yeah, that could kill Yamcha, but not a regular bullet. No way at all. Alright. Do you think there's a chance that Gogeta could be introduced in Super? No. I mean, you remember, Vegeta has to learn the dance. I think that they're going with the Potara for Super. I don't see why they would introduce Gogeta, because it would just be kind of weird. Like, you have two fusions in the same series. And I know that the two fusions do exist, because Gogeta was in Fusion Reborn, and, you know, obviously Vegeta was in the Blue Saga, but to me, it just seems weird if you have two fusions of the same characters in the actual main series. I think that's weird. I just don't think they would go for that. Alright. If Chi-Chi and Bulma had sex with Vegeta... If Chi-Chi and Bulma had sex with If Chi-Chi and Bulma had sex with Vegito, would that be considered cheating? And if one was impregnated, which one would be the father? Both! That's the answer to your question, both, because they're both people. How will Goku and Vegeta unfuse? They can use the Dragon Balls. Remember, the Supreme Kai unfused with Kibito, and I believe that he said that it was because of the usage of the Dragon Balls. I'm like 90% sure on that. I'd have to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure they could just use the Dragon Balls to unfuse themselves. Why hasn't anyone called Mr. Satan out for the fraud that he is? He has been called that as a fraud, but at some point in the series, I mean, he did kind of become a hero. I mean, let's be honest here. Mr. Satan is a fraud, but he did save the world against Cell because he threw 16's head, which helped Gohan become a Super Saiyan 2. And he did, in essence, save Vegeta from Kid Buu, and he also got, you know, the majority of Earthlings to donate their energy for the Spirit Bomb. So, yeah, I mean, he hasn't been called out because he's a celebrity, but really, he isn't that much of a fraud. I mean, he also, you know, he also befriended Buu, and if it wasn't for those gunmen, he could have solved the whole Buu threat by himself. Do you think we'll ever see the era from the end of Dragon Ball Z and Super, you know, with Teen Goten and Trunks Kid Pan and Goku with the teal gi? I'd love to see that come in full circle. No, I don't think so, man, because I feel like that ending's already been done. I think if Super's gonna have an ending, it's gonna have its own ending, you know, to close off this mid-arc, you know. So in essence, I really can't see them going back to that because that's already been done, unless they overwrite, you know, the events of GT, or they go into the events of Dragon Ball Super before GT began. So what I'm pretty much saying here is that, you know, Pan, you know, going from 4 years old to 9 years old, you know, obviously if you're going with the original dub, not counting the Funimation dub where they said it was 10 years, I'm talking about, like, if they talk about the 5-year gap and make that Dragon Ball Super before Goku and all the events of GT happen, I could see that. Super Saiyan 4 Vegito versus Beerus. Oh, and by the way, to answer the previous question, it's still kind of weird how Bulma hasn't even been born yet. I mean, Bulma should at least be pregnant at this point. Alright, Super Saiyan 4 Vegito versus Beerus. I mean, come on, bro. Super Saiyan 4 Vegito? I mean, shit. I mean, if you're using super characters, with like a Super Saiyan 4 transformation, my goodness, I'd have to say Vegito, right? I mean, my goodness. Yes. How strong do you think Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is based on the stuff in Super? I mean, above Beerus, I think it's still possible. Okay, like I said before, guys, I hate comparing GT characters with Super characters because I'm gonna reuse the same dull argument over and over again. I know it's stupid. I know it is. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's a cheap argument. But in theory, if GT takes place after the events of Super, those characters should be stronger. It doesn't make any sense for them to get weaker over those years. I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense. Now, the honest answer to the fact is, if you're factoring GT as a continuation of Super, I would say the GT characters, by default. Do all the power scaling things make sense? No. But if you're talking about literal power and feats, I would probably have to go with Dragon Ball Super characters, because of the fact that when Goku was a Super Saiyan God and he fought against Beerus, the feats that were shown in that battle were way higher than anything we'd ever seen in GT. So yeah, that's my answer to your question. Alright, let's see. Why doesn't anyone call out Mr. Okay, I already answered this question here. Alright, I already answered this question here. I answered this one. How many boogers have you eaten today? 0. Who's the better singer, you or Geekdom? I'd probably have to go with Geekdom. I'm not a singer. But you know what? I'm gonna sing you one more song though, guys. Every day when you're walking down the street, everybody that you meet has an original point of view. And I say, hey, hey, what a wonderful time of day when you can learn to work and play and get along with each other. You gotta listen to your heart, listen to the beat, listen to the rhythm of the street. Open up your eyes, open up your ears. Everybody can make things better by working together. It's a simple message that comes from the heart. Just believe in yourself. And that's the way to start. And I say, hey, hey, what a wonderful time of day. Hey, what a wonderful time of day. Hey, DW. Hey, whoa. Alright, you got me singing. Alright, who is more chocolatey, you or Ronnie? And by the way, guys, this is going to be a longer Q&A, so I want to see if you guys, what you guys think of that singing there. Alright, who's more chocolatey, you or Ronnie? I'm not answering this question, bro. Come on. How happy were you when you saw Vegeta? I was pretty stoked, but I mean, the honest fact of the matter is we all knew it was coming, so it's not a surprise. How strong do you think Super Saiyan Blue Vegito is? I think he is above Beerus and Whis for sure. I mean, the thing is, like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you would think, but I mean, like I said, we don't know the full extent of these guys' powers because definitely they've been holding back so much throughout the series. So yeah, I mean, we really need to see more feats before we can definitively answer that. There's a lot of power scaling Dragon Ball Super questions here. Alright, shouldn't the fused Zamasu be losing power eventually since Black was in his Super Saiyan Rose form when they fused? Remember when the Elder Kai told Goku to stay in his base form for the fusion technique, he'd be stuck as Super Saiyan losing power and would die. I don't know about the whole dying part, but I mean, I definitely do think it can have a percussion, but I don't think that's why he's becoming purple. I don't have anything. I think my theory, I don't know the answer for sure, but I think the problem could be that you fuse with yourself. Maybe when you're supposed to fuse with somebody, you're supposed to fuse with a different entity, and since Goku Black is pretty much Zamasu, maybe that could be the problem. But the thing is Goku Black really Zamasu? Because even though he's Zamasu in mind, he's in Goku's body. So maybe that's why. I don't know. I think it's weird. Alright. What the heck is this? Turtle, cat, monkey, bear, snake plus hat equals a good day? Don't know what the hell that is. Sorry, bro. Majin Buu versus King Piccolo. Who's been training in hell since he first got there all the way up to Dragon Ball Super, the Goku Black Saga? I mean, come on, bro. Like, King Piccolo? I mean, even if King Piccolo was training the whole time in hell, I mean, to get to Buu level strength? Come on, bro. Buu level strength? Come on. Buu's like so much more powerful than King Piccolo. It's not even funny. Alright. Have you ever used or would use a hamster in a sexual way while in bed with your lover? No. You guys are asking some silly questions here. Alright, I've been with my girlfriend for almost a year now. I love her and we are just starting to talk about fetishes. I told her I don't really have any, but I'm willing to try anything. Then she told me that she would love to use a strap-on. I told her I would think about it, but now I'm not sure about us. Thoughts? I mean, I don't know if you're saying this to, you know, be funny, bro, but I mean, if you've been with her for a year and she has any fetishes, I mean, the thing with the relationship, dude, is you kind of gotta satisfy both partners, dude. I mean, so I feel like if you're willing to try anything, even if it's a strap-on, I think you should do it if your girlfriend really wants it to. But she should also return the favor. Alright, this might sound like a lie, but it's true. A friend of mine has been talking to this girl for 5 days now on a dating site, and it turns out that the girl is my ex's sister. How strange is that? Out of all of the people in Utah, she's talking to her. And they never met each other when I was dating her sister. Okay, well, if it's your ex's sister, I mean, that's kind of weird, bro. I mean, honestly, bro, I would just, distance yourself from the situation, because it would make it so awkward, you know what I mean? So yeah, I probably would stay away from that if I were you, Nintendo Z. Alright, when was the last time you picked your nose? I mean, come on, man, this is a nasty question. I'm not gonna answer that. Have I ever been in a car crash? Yes, I have been in a car crash. As a matter of fact, I've been in 3. I've been in one car crash that I had to pay everything because my insurance company was a piece of shit. I was in a minor car accident with my friend, and I was also in another car accident with my dad many years ago. And in all of the car accidents I've been involved in, either as a driver or a passenger, me or the person driving was never at fault. It was always a fucking idiot. Alright, let's see. Has anyone ever barged in on you in the bathroom? Yes! As a matter of fact, one time I was on a college campus and a guy opened it up. I guess the door, the lock was like kind of loose. And it was a very fucking awkward moment, bro. Alright, what is the answer to this question? The answer to this question is X-Off. Who do you think has a better accent, Expert Games or Super J? Come on, bro. Like, what? You really think I'm judging dudes by their Australian accents? Come on, bro. Blah, blah, blah. Do you believe athletes have become somewhat self-righteous and have evolved into glorified social justice warriors, but are regarded in a more positive light due to statuses? Also, have you ever ripped the little tag off a mattress that said "Do not tear" when younger, just to feel rebellious? No, I'm not really sure about that, Majin Soul. And yeah, in terms of athletes, I do think athletes to some degree are glorified social justice warriors. But I think it all depends on them, like if for example, okay, like one thing that was really popular in football this year is Colin Kaepernick. And you might argue that Colin Kaepernick is trying to be a social justice warrior, but in the eyes of America, he's looked at as a villain for what he's actually doing, even though he's doing it for his own cause, regardless of if you agree with him or not. That's kind of his own, his own thing that he's doing on his own. So really, being classified as a social justice warrior really depends on what the athlete's perspective is. Because, like I said, and it also depends on the media's perspective, because the media can paint you as a villain like Kaepernick, even though in his eyes, he's probably a social justice warrior, and vice versa. It all depends on the way the media wants to look at it, because that's how mainstream media is. They make everybody out to be either a villain or a hero. Okay, can you kill Schrodinger's cat with Occam's razor? Don't know what the hell that is, bro. Alright, let's see. Yo, Qaaman, my name Day, and I had like this theory for like Goten and Trunks. It's more like a fan-made arc I made up that involves Goten and Trunks, and I kind of think it would be cool since Goten and Trunks don't have that much time on air. So will you hear me out? I mean, yeah, bro. PM me on Twitter if you want to say it. Could future Piccolo beat the androids if he had fused with future Kami? Probably, after sensing Vegeta getting killed. Keep in mind, he wouldn't have had the 3 years of training with Goku. No. Here's why. Because you gotta remember something here. Androids 17 and 18 are approximately, it's been implied, if you use both canon and non-canon, that 17 and 18 are around the same power. If 17 is a little bit stronger, but it's not like significant, like 18 could do damage on him, if they were to fight to the death. So here's the thing. If Piccolo fused with Kami without those 3 years of intense training, because Piccolo always trains, he just probably wouldn't have trained as intensely. The Kami boost would have not made him stronger than the androids, because you got to remember something. Piccolo was on par with 17, in the present. Now, albeit the present time androids are stronger than the future androids, so I will give you that much. But the question I'm coming at here is that Piccolo in the present trained and became significantly stronger pretty much by himself, to the point where he was able to defeat both 19 and 20 by himself. You know, so that means Piccolo is not that far from the Super Saiyans in terms of power in the present with training. That's how much stronger he got by himself. So if you say he fuses with Kami, even if the future androids are weaker, with all of that extra training that made him that strong before fusing with Kami, you gotta think that fusing with Kami wouldn't, you know, close the gap if Piccolo was never definitively stronger than 17. So yeah, I would probably say that he definitely could not, you know, defeat the androids, because that training was extremely important. And, you know, to take this final question here, would Beerus survive if the Supreme Kai was killed, since there is still Elder Kai? Love your videos. Would Beerus survive if the Supreme Kai was killed? I mean, the thing is, this is a weird question, bro, because, like, I don't understand how Dragon Ball Super kind of fits this whole thing into it, because Dragon Ball Z kind of showed that there's like 4 Supreme Kais, you know, so like, and plus there's like the 4 Supreme Kais plus like the Daikaioshin for like the big leader of the Kais, you know, the fat one that was absorbed for Buu. So like, man, I really honestly don't know how to answer this question. My guess would be probably he would be killed, because it was implied that Beerus may have been killed in the future, and we would assume maybe Elder Kai was still around. So yeah, that's my guess, honestly. Alrighty guys, so I think that is pretty much, as a matter of fact, I want to take this last one because this is a question about future Gohan, and I love playing with him on Xenoverse, so I'll answer this one. Hey buddy, simple question is, what if the alternate future Gohan ending in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 becomes canon, and that Time Patroller Trunks is guiding them? I think, I mean, yeah, it would probably make that timeline very, like, I guess, optimistic, because Trunks at this point could probably defeat, you know, Buu and Cell and all these characters. And I'm only saying Buu because you gotta think, I mean, we don't know the exact point of time that all this is taking place, but I mean, Super Trunks could easily defeat Buu and at least stop Babidi and Dabura from, you know, starting all of what they do, so Buu would have never happened. So yeah, I would say that if future Gohan and Trunks were around, that would definitely make that world a lot more positive, and it would change all of the negative things. So yeah, that would be a positive ending. So guys, that's been my video for today. I hope you guys like this extended Q&A session. This was a lot of fun. I gotta get something to drink after all this talking. But with everything else said, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.